Chapter 10. Respiration in organisms. Breathing. External respiration. We normally breathe air through our nose, or sometimes even through the mouth. If we close our nostrils and mouth tightly and look at a watch, we soon start feeling uneasy and cannot hold our breath even for a minute. We cannot live for more than a few minutes without breathing air. Breathing means taking in air rich in oxygen and giving out air rich in carbon dioxide by the living organisms with the help of their respiratory organs. Breathing rate. A breath means 1 inhalation plus 1 exhalation. The number of times a person breathes in a minute is termed as the breathing rate. Activity 1. To see the variation in the breathing rate during different activities. The various activities carried out by a person during a normal day. According to your experience, write in which activity the rate of breathing will be normal and in which activity it will be fast or faster. Write in the given blank space under each picture. Also, assign numbers to the pictures in the order of increasing rate. Our nose has 2 holes which are called nostrils. There is a passage in the nose behind the nostrils called nasal cavity. Normally, we take in air through our nostrils. When we inhale air, it passes through our nostrils into the nasal cavity. As the air passes through this cavity, it becomes warm. It also gets moistened by the mucus secreted by the membrane lining of the nasal cavity. Dust and other particles present in air get trapped by the mucus and hair present in the nasal cavity. From the nasal cavity, the clean, moist and warm air passes into the trachea or windpipe. The trachea branches out into 2 thinner tubes called bronchi, singular bronchus, which enter the lungs. After entering the lungs, each bronchus divides to form a large number of still smaller tubes called bronchioles. The bronchioles have tiny air sacs at their ends called alveoli, singular alveolus. The walls of alveoli are very thin and are surrounded by very thin blood capillaries. The air from the trachea through the bronchus and bronchioles finally enters the alveoli. The oxygen of the air diffuses out from the thin walls of the alveoli into the blood capillaries. The oxygen combines with the hemoglobin in the blood to form oxyhemoglobin and is carried to all the cells of the body. Similarly, the carbon dioxide produced by the breakdown of food during respiration enters into blood. Blood carries carbon dioxide to the alveoli in the lungs. From the lungs, carbon dioxide is removed with the air we breathe out. In this way, exchange of gases takes place in the alveolus. Exchange of gases in the alveolus. Carbon dioxide, atmospheric air, oxygen. CO2 enters alveolus. Oxygen enters capillary. Blood flowing from alveolus carries oxygen. Capillary. Blood flowing from the tissues carries carbon dioxide. Activity to demonstrate the mechanism of breathing. Things needed: transparent plastic bottle, Y-shaped glass or plastic tube, 2 balloons, plasticine, rubber sheet, rubber band. Method: we take a wide transparent plastic bottle, a soft drink plastic bottle will do, and get someone to cut off its bottom. We make a hole through the bottle's cap. 2 deflated balloons are tied at the 2 forked ends of a Y-shaped glass or plastic tube. We introduce the tube fitted with 2 deflated balloons from cut end of the bottle and pass the tube through the hole in the cap. We use plasticine to seal the cap and make it airtight. A thin rubber sheet is tied around the open base of the bottle using a large rubber band. Our apparatus is ready. See figure. In this apparatus, the space between the bottle represents the chest cavity, the balloons represent the lungs, whereas the rubber sheet represents the diaphragm. Observation: when we pull the rubber sheet downwards, the space inside the bottle increases, lowering the air pressure inside the bottle. The air from outside rushes in through the Y-shaped tube into balloons, due to which the balloons get inflated. Their size increases. See figure. This is how we inhale air during breathing. When we push the rubber sheet up, the space inside the bottle decreases. This pushes out the air inside the balloons through the tube, due to which the balloons get deflated. Their size decreases. This is how we exhale air during breathing. Conclusions: the action of rubber sheet in this activity shows how we inhale and exhale air during breathing with the help of the downward and upward movement of the diaphragm in our body. When the diaphragm moves downward during inhaling, the lungs are filled with air, but when the diaphragm moves upward during exhaling, then the air is forced to go out the lungs. What makes us breathe? Breathing takes place with the help of the intercostal muscles between the ribs and the diaphragm. During inhalation, when we breathe in, the intercostal muscles contract. Then, 2 things happen at the same time. The ribs are pushed upward and outward. The diaphragm contracts and moves downwards. The upward and outward movements of the ribs and the downward movement of the diaphragm increases the space in the chest cavity. The chest cavity becomes larger and the air rushes into lungs. The lungs get filled up with air and expand. During exhalation, when we breathe out, the intercostal muscles relaxes. The 2 things happens at the same time. The ribs move downward and inward. The diaphragm relaxes and moves away to its original position. The downward and inward movements of the ribs and the upward movement of the diaphragm decreases the space in the chest cavity. Air is drawn in, Ribs move upward and outward. Air. Activity 3. To show carbon dioxide is produced during respiration. Things needed: glass or plastic bottle, lime water, straw. Method: we take a slender, clean glass or plastic bottle, make a hole in its lid and fix it onto the bottle. We pour some freshly prepared lime water in the glass or plastic bottle. Insert a plastic straw through the hole in the lid in such a way that it dips in lime water. See figure. We blow gently through the straw a few times. Observation: the lime water in the glass or plastic bottle turns milky. We know that carbon dioxide gas turns lime water milky. Conclusion: the exhaled air contains carbon dioxide gas. So, we conclude that carbon dioxide gas is produced during respiration. Activity 4. To show the exhaled air contains water vapor. Things needed: a mirror. Method: we exhale or breathe out air from our mouth on a clean mirror. Observation: the clean mirror becomes cloudy and we may even find some water droplets on the mirror. Conclusion: the air we breathe out contains water vapor. This water vapor condenses on the mirror surface to form tiny droplets of water. The amount of oxygen, carbon dioxide and water vapor in inhaled and exhaled air is given below. Inhaled air: oxygen 21%, carbon dioxide 0.04%, water vapor little. Exhaled air: oxygen 16.4%, carbon dioxide 4.4%, water vapor lot, much. Sneezing: the air around us sometimes contains various types of unwanted particles such as smoke, dust, pollen, etc. When we inhale air, the unwanted particles present in the air usually get trapped in the hair in the nasal cavity. However, sometimes these particles may get past the hair in the nasal cavity. Then they irritate the lining of the nasal cavity, as a result of which we sneeze. Sneezing expels these unwanted foreign particles from the inhaled air and a dust-free, clean air enters our body. Internal respiration, also called cellular respiration. Table: differences between breathing and cellular respiration. Serial number, parameters, breathing, cellular respiration. 1, 2, 3, 4. Process: energy, occurrence, enzymes. It is a physical process in which exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. No energy is released. It occurs outside the cells. No enzymes are involved. It is a biochemical process in which the breakdown of food takes place. Energy is released. It occurs inside the cells. Enzymes are involved at certain stages of respiration. Table: differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Serial number 1, 2. Parameters: use of oxygen, breakdown. Aerobic respiration: it uses oxygen. Complete breakdown of food, glucose, takes place. Aerobic respiration: it does not need oxygen. Incomplete breakdown of food, glucose, takes place. 3. End products. 4. Amount of energy released. The end products are carbon dioxide and water. A large amount of energy is released. The end products are carbon dioxide and alcohol. A very small amount of energy is released. Anaerobic respiration in muscles. During exercise, some muscles may respire anaerobically. Glucose, food. In the muscle cells, anaerobic respiration releases lactic acid plus energy. Respiration in other animals. Respiration in insects. Insects like grasshopper, cockroach, etc. have a respiratory system consisting of a network of thin air tubes called trachea, spread into the whole body of the insect. These air tubes have tiny openings called spiracles on the sides of their body. Tracheal system of an insect. Respiration in earthworm. The earthworms breathe through their skin. The skin of an earthworm is thin and moist. Respiration in frogs. Frogs live both on land and in water. Frogs have a pair of lungs, like human beings, to breathe on land. In water, they breathe through their moist skin. Respiration in fish. Fish has special organs of breathing called gills, found on both the sides of its head. The fish breathes by taking in water through its mouth and sending it over the gills. Respiration in plants. Plants also respire for their survival. They get energy by the breakdown of the food they produce. The plants get energy by the process of respiration in which glucose food prepared by them breaks down in the presence of oxygen of air to form carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. Plants take in oxygen from air and give out carbon dioxide during respiration. Respiration in leaves. We have already learned in Chapter 1 that the leaves of the plants have tiny pores called stomata for exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Respiration in roots. The root cells also need oxygen to generate energy. The roots of a plant have a very large number of tiny hair on them called root hair. Air is present in between the particles of soil. The root hair are in contact with the air in the soil particles. Carbon dioxide produced during respiration goes out through the root hair by the process of diffusion. If a potted plant is overwatered for a long time, then the plant may ultimately die. Too much water expels all the air from in between the soil particles.